I really like
ultimately
people
they'll
and
end
I
up
really
with
like
one of
lots
two
of things.
It's a very good
degrees.
question.
History and all this.
I think I was always very interested in the human aspect of biology, so human biology and disease. But I didn't personally want to go into medicine.
I knew I wanted to study a biological science. I was interested in human physiology, so it was just a case of looking for courses that would work for me.
I really like people and I really like lots of things like art and history and all this, but it all feeds into the human brain.
I think biomedical sciences would be a good subject for a student to consider studying if they're interested in how the human body works. The first year of the course is a common curriculum. All the students study all the material.
In first year, you'll be covering everything from statistics course to maths to psychology, neuroscience, cells, biochemistry, genetics. It's so wide.
I really like maths, so I wasn't sort of horrified to learn that 1 out of 3 of your exam papers in first year is a maths paper.
In first year, you have 10 lectures a week. You might have a laboratory session, so 2 or 3 hour practical class, and then you'll have a maths or stats class and your tutorials.
You really can, having got a foundation in biomedical sciences through the common first year curriculum, then branch out and do exactly what you want. Tailor your studies exactly to your interests, and I think that's probably what sets us apart.
By kind of the end of second term of second year, you choose whether to go down the cell and systems pathway or the neuroscience pathway, and that really shapes what your third year is focused on.
Ultimately, they'll end up with one of 2 degrees. They'll either become a cell and systems biologist, so they might study systems neuroscience, or they could study how the heart and the lungs work, or they could actually study molecular medicine along those lines. Alternatively, they could get a degree in neuroscience, where they have specialised not just in neuroscience, but they've also added on to that some psychology.
It was tough because I do really enjoy neuroscience, but for me, just the balance overall of what I'd be studying next year, I felt it suited me better, because within cell and systems, I'll actually be studying some neuroscience. And then I'll also do immunology and microbiology.
Neuroscience seems incredibly specific already, but there's actually sort of loads of different avenues you can take within it, and the course kind of allowed me to sort of taste them in first year.
The cells and systems stream is the stream that I'm taking that I find really exciting, and it encompasses a very wide range of possible topics. So, for example, you do some pharmacology, you do systems physiology, development, pathology, diseases.
Because it's quite small, there's only 30 odd of you in a year, it's great because you get to know everyone from all the different colleges.
One of the 9 terms that the student will spend in Oxford will be dedicated to undertaking a laboratory project. So going to work in the laboratory in one of the research departments here, and that's free choice. The student selects, identifies the sort of area they want to work in.
It's quite intense lab experience, but it's fantastic because you choose an aspect that you find really interesting. You are specialising in that area with a supervisor who's an expert in that field.
Get to experience what it's like in a lab so you can kind of decide if that's really what you want to do.
As a second year science student, my average week would have, say, 2 tutorials, maybe 5 or 6 lectures, and one practical class, which is, say, an afternoon long. And apart from that, I'd be reading for my essays, preparing for tutorials.
You have to be clear, I think, that this course is not a course that's designed to give you a qualification that enables you to go and do clinical diagnostics. This is a course about giving you a foundation in understanding human physiology, human genetics, human neuroscience. This is an exceptionally well-resourced university with fantastic facilities.
Every college has a library. It means that I don't have to sort of, cycle off somewhere, walk somewhere. I can just kind of fall out of bed, walk across the quad. I'm in the library. It's open 24 hours a day.
So we've got one of the 3 copyright libraries in the UK here, and on top of that there are subject libraries around the university.
I've never actually had to buy a book for my course because the library provision here is really, really good.
It's just full of people visiting from other places, you know, talks from absolutely everyone.
The teaching labs here are amazing. I mean, they were a big step up from school. You kind of walk into your first practical here and you're going, this is serious, okay, real white coats.
And of course we've got the whole college side of the university with everything that comes there. So more libraries, the tutorial provision, the opportunity to have one-on-one chats with experts in the field about the subjects that you're studying.
And the tutorials will be 1 hour each, and you'll have to do sort of work in the preceding days for that. So normally it would be an essay, but sometimes it could be sort of a problem sheet, or they might want you to do extra reading, or they might want you to do an essay at all. They might say, I want you to think about all of these things and come with loads of questions.
You're suddenly put in a room with a world-class academic who knows, well, it seems, everything there is to know about this subject, and they're asking you questions right in the deep end.
Most of my tutorials were just with the other girl in college, Kathy, who does biomed. But actually really good fun because it's quite informal, just getting to chat and kind of bounce ideas off with the professors.
You might write an essay on perhaps the properties of muscle or some drugs that affect muscle contraction, and that's fine. And then you go into the tutorial and your tutor goes, yeah, okay, your essay was okay. How would you design an experiment to demonstrate how the smooth muscle contracts? And you kind of go, okay.
So I think it was a lot more relaxed than I thought it would be, and you realise that they are people you're speaking to.
It's good to have that discussion rather than sitting passively and listening to someone. You're expected to contribute.
When you're in school, science textbooks say, this is how it is. And then in university you realise that may not necessarily be how it is. It's just the best working hypothesis.
I've become perhaps more questioning because at school you're taught a fact, and that's great, a scientific fact. Okay, then you go into a tutorial and you say, oh, because this is true, so this is true. And the tutor goes, yes, but how do we know that really is true?
You just get a bit sharper, mainly from tutorials. You've got to think on your feet.
I decided to apply for the unique summer school here at Oxford because the course did look fairly interesting, and it's a taster session for a week and you get to live in a college for a week. So I went for that, and I spent a week here doing biomedical sciences and having a taster session of pretty much everything that first year would entail. And then I decided after that I really did want to apply to this course.
We're looking for students that are motivated to study here and really passionate about the subject.
You should be reading around, which must be said to death. Like, people must say that all the time, but it is so true. I mean, your interviewers won't expect you to know everything. That's the point of the course. Like, otherwise you wouldn't need it. But they do expect you to have an interest in it, and just reading even sort of just articles in newspapers that relate to it, or pop science books.
Pay some attention to the biomedical admissions test. It's a very important component of our shortlisting process. We can't interview all the people that apply to us.
I had this expectation about what it would be like, and it was very different. So I guess if I was, advising someone on how to be best prepared for the interview here, I would say don't have too many expectations about what it will be like, because it's almost entirely up to the tutor.
I was very nervous, but I really enjoyed it because you're just discussing things, and they're probing you with questions, and it is tough because they want to see how you respond under pressure and throwing new ideas and new ways to look at things.
They do want to sort of tease out your thought process. So I think I said something quite weird, and he's kind of like, why would you say that? And then you discuss your answer.
Looking back, there were some things I said that were probably outright wrong, but I think the way I got there and the way I developed my ideas was what interested them, and they thought, okay, this makes sense.
They need, when they come to write their personal statement, to convey in their personal statement the things that they've done, the achievements, the interests that they've got.
Make sure that if you put something in your statement that you actually know about it, otherwise you'll be in trouble.
I remember when I got the letter, I didn't actually see it at first. My dad left it in my room, So I wandered into my room and it said Magdalen College, Oxford, and I was just kind of like, oh, okay. So my mum didn't know it had come, so I opened it in my room really kind of secretly, and then I must have read it like 7 times to make sure that it actually said that I was accepted.
Students have got to make sure they're getting it right. They've got to make sure they're applying for the right reasons, that the course is actually going to provide them with what they think it's going to provide them, so that it is actually really the course for them.
I'm currently thinking probably looking to do neuroscience research. In what, I'm not entirely sure.
I could see myself maybe after the degree's finished, having a year where I worked in various labs, getting more experience, and did a few, earned a bit of money, and I'd love to do a bit more travelling, and then after that, hopefully, if I'd done a lot more experience in other labs, I'd know if it was for me or not.
This summer I'm going to be doing work experience in Australia. I'm going to be working in a lab in Australia to really help me see if I want to continue with studying. I want to make sure that I can continue to do a PhD.
I've shifted to realising how important computer programming is in sort of neuroscience, which I didn't even think was a thing before I came here, and now I might be interested in sort of pursuing it.
Some will go and work in the biotechnology sector or the pharmaceutical industry, and I think it's likely that this course would also provide a very strong foundation for going on and studying medicine as a graduate.
People think, oh, I can't possibly apply to Oxford or whatever, and I think that's a really bizarre mentality to have. If the course looks interesting and you like the idea of living in Oxford, you think it looks like a nice place to live, and you basically think that the style of teaching will suit you, just go for it and commit to it. And if you get in, you'll have a great time.